to Covering the Fields with your host, Joe Ellison.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Covering the Field, the weekly program that analyzes all sports, handicaps them, and makes predictions. I'm your host, Joe Ellison, and today we're going to talk about college basketball, the NFL, hockey, the NBA, racing, and our You Got Ho segment. We'd like to remind you listeners to email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com. Please give us your feedback, tell us your You Got Ho stories, and visit our coveringthefield.com website daily to check out our many articles and our picks of the day and week. Find us on Twitter at coveringfield. Now, tipping things off this week, I'd like to introduce our men's college basketball expert, Big Richard Martin. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Joe. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Big Rich, last week was rivalry week in college basketball's major conferences. Did any one particular game stand out?
Of course, Joe. It's March Madness, and it's BEA beautiful right now. Last week, Coach K coaches his final game in Cameron against their arch rival North Carolina, and they lose by 13. Tickets were going for $30,000 a ticket for this last game. A total meltdown, 7-point lead. They've dropped. I couldn't believe it. Coach K loses his last game in Cameron, his last regular season game. Totally heartbreaking, especially on my card.
Yes, Duke losing was a big shocker to most everyone. Conference tournaments have also been in full swing. Have there been some interesting results, and how have your predictions been doing?
Yes, Joe. So far, 4 for 4 on my conference picks. They've been, in Murray State go off, so I had definitely hit my parlay on those 3-teamers. I couldn't believe it. The Chattanooga game and Foreman was just the best game probably I've ever seen. Unbelievable. Maybe that Houston and the North Carolina State game with Jimmy V might be close to this kind of game. But, I mean, they had the ball. Foreman was down by 3 at the last second. They shoot a 3-pointer. Bam, they go to overtime. Then they bounce back, take a 2-point lead with 4 seconds. David G. Baptiste, he doesn't call timeout. He dribbles down the court with 4 seconds, shoots over 3 people, and shoots nothing but net. They punch their ticket. Chattanooga goes on. What a great game.
Yes, I feel sorry for Furman. That was a 40-footer that got sank on that shot. Pretty miraculous.
And Mike Boswell just played a great game. I mean, it's just hard to see. You see these kids when they lose, they play so good that you're 4 seconds from going to the dance, and then all of a sudden, with their 12 losses, I don't see them getting in. It was just a tough loss for those kids.
So what are your picks for the upcoming tournaments?
Well, before we go back to this week's conference game, let's look at last week what happened. Nebraska, the Road Warriors, they go on a 3-game winning streak. They have only won 6 games all year. What do? They go on their last 3 road games. They beat Penn State. They beat Ohio State. They beat Wisconsin. They beat my parlay card. They are totally off the hook right now. They're on a roll. You got to bet hot teams. I'm going to take them tonight against Northwestern. They're going to go into the conferences red hot. We'll see if they can pull some upsets. Other conference, let's go to the Pac-12. Arizona's totally destroying everybody. I see them in UCLA on definitely a crash course for that finals. Arizona shouldn't have any problems. I might take UCLA in the points in that game. I have to see how many you're getting. Then we have Auburn and Kentucky. Those two are doing great in the SEC. The SEC has exactly 5 teams that can win that whole tournament and also win the NCAA tournament. So the top 5 in that league are awesome. You got LSU, you got Arkansas, you have Kentucky and Auburn. I mean, SEC is just packed. So I like those teams. And let's look at Iowa right now. They have Keegan and Chris Murray. They're going to have their game. They're going to have a game against Rutgers in the winner of the Nebraska game. So they have an easy road to get to that finals. I like to look at Iowa and Purdue going at each other in the Big Ten. I think Purdue will probably win, but I'd like to take Iowa in the points. Keegan Murray and Chris Murray are playing excellent basketball. That whole team is stacked. They play great defense together. As you know, speed and defense doesn't have bad streaks. They don't have bad days. They don't go in slumps. They play good. They're playing great together, and they're peaking at the right time. Iowa's a sneaky pick at 100-1 right now to win the NCAA tournament. You also look at Memphis State. They're at 50-1 to win the tournament. They just shouldn't have any problem. I think they're going to probably go in their AAC. I think they beat Houston in that. They beat them twice handily. They shouldn't have any problems with them. I like Baylor in the Big 12. Baylor's on a roll right now. You can get them at 12-1 to win the whole NCAA. I see them being a number 1 seed. I think they knock off Kansas. They get in the Big East. Let's look at UConn. They're the number 3 team in that Big East. Villanova's been up and down all year, and UConn's peaking at the right time. ACC, we got to look at Duke. Duke just came off that heartbreaking loss. I don't see them letting Coach K go out this way. I think they bounce back, win the ACC tournament, and I think there's the Blue Devils will be primed and ready for the tournament. One thing to note today, in the first game of the ACC tournament, Buddy Byam, he punched Wyatt Wilkes in the stomach, definitely flagrant too. It looked like it was a Mike Tyson punch to the stomach. It wasn't incidental. The referees didn't see it. The ACC's looking at it. So Buddy Byam is going to be playing Duke tomorrow. The Syracuse Orangemen will be playing Duke tomorrow. I don't think with Buddy Byam, they don't have a chance. They've lost by 20 points in both their games in the regular season. I think Duke rolls the Orangemen tomorrow. We'll see what the point spread is, but without Buddy Byam, they have a slim to zero chance to win that.
Yeah, the coach's son. I'm surprised to hear that.
Well, you know, it gets heated, Joe, when you're playing basketball. He definitely got pushed twice, but it's always the second person, and you got to control yourself. And he's definitely looking at a game suspension, unless the ACC turns a blind eye to it.
Any thoughts on the Mountain West tournament involving our beloved local team, Nevada, which is being played in Las Vegas?
7-point win today, and they definitely cover the spread, so it makes a lot of my good friends that bet on Nevada out here happy that their tickets will get punched and have a little bit of cash for tonight's games. But I think that, you know, Boise State's the class of that division. I think you can probably say Wyoming, Colorado State both have a puncher's chance, but Boise State's been playing solid most of the year. I don't see them losing that.
Yes, Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, they're already in the NC2A tournament. Wyoming at 24-7 definitely deserves a look. Nevada has a losing record, needs to win the Mountain West tournament to advance to the big dance. That's going to be a very tall order.
Yeah, that's not a very good chance for them to get in there, Joe.
Any other stories about the conference tournaments you might want to add?
Well, last night, the Bryant Bulldogs destroyed Wagner. Now in the Northeastern Conference tournament, punching their ticket all the way to the NCAA tournament. On the way there, the Northeast tournament does not go to a neutral site. They went to Bryant's home court, which is bleacher seating. They put the parent and the family section right below the student section, and Peter Kiss, oh, Beth, I hear you calling, destroyed Wagner. He goes for 34 points. He puts on a show. He was egging on the crowd, and all of a sudden a fight breaks out because they were so close in contact, and it was just a terrible sight. Punches were thrown, beers were being thrown, drinks were being thrown. They had to let the Wagner team lead before they let him run on the court. It was just a terrible story, but let's give it to Peter Kiss. He scores 34 points, and Joe, do you think that's just a one-hit wonder, or do you know who Peter Kiss is?
I don't know who Peter Kiss is.
Well, he's the NCAA points per game leader, so this is nothing new for him, and he's somebody to watch. He'll be a 16 seed, and let's just hope he has a good tournament game to back up his conference game.
Maybe a team to take, maybe getting 20 points against a powerful conference.
Exactly. Let's watch Peter Kiss and see what he can do when he plays the big boys.
So, Big Rich, you're also our National Football League expert, and you could say we had more than a little bit of news last week. What happened?
Well, this probably has been the biggest week of football since the Super Bowl and the biggest trade deadline that I've ever seen. Couldn't believe it. You have Russell Wilson getting traded to the Broncos for 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a 5th-round pick. They also give up Shelby Harvers, their defensive stud defensive end. He had 6 sacks last year and led that defense. Noah Fant, who was also a first-round pick 3 years ago. So I would say that that's basically getting 3 first-round picks. And Drew Lock, with the big attitude, is getting traded also there. So I guess he'll take over for Russell Wilson. One thing to know about that, the backup tight end, Albert Okabama, I'm going to say Albert Big O because I know I butchered that. But last year he had 33 catches, 338 yards, and 2 touchdowns compared to Noah Fant. He had 68 catches and 670 yards and 4 touchdowns. But Albert Big O blocks a lot better. I think he's going to fit in. They might have to address their tight end issues in the draft or free agency.
Russell Wilson now the only quarterback ever to go to a team that he beat in a Super Bowl. In 2014, he beat Peyton Manning 43-8.
Well, with that joke, he's going to join a quarterback club that has beaten every team in the NFL. Do you know the 4 quarterbacks? Russell Wilson will be the 5th this year that have beaten every team in the NFL.
Oh, well, Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Sure. Brett Favre, maybe?
Brett Favre.
Boy. You're
Don't
getting
stay in Denver, Joe. Stay in Denver.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning.
John Elway.
John Elway played with the Broncos. He's never beat the Broncos. He's a Bronco forever. He would never beat the Broncos. No, the other one is Drew Brees. So
yeah, right.
He's going to join that crowd, and definitely because they're going to be playing in Seattle, and I know that's the game everybody's going to be watching when he goes back there.
Yes. So incidentally, Wilson has never received an MVP vote, which leads us to another quarterback who is also in the news, who's the 2-time reigning MVP. What's the story?
Well, Aaron Rodgers decided to take the money and run, Joe. $50 million. I think that this was all in the plans going out because there was talks that this Russell Wilson trade with the Broncos has been going on for 2 weeks. So definitely Aaron Rodgers, he was just baiting them for that money. Now they're not going to have any money to get the players he's going to need to repeat. I think, Green Bay is going to be average. They're going to go play their first game and get knocked the hell out again. So I don't see them, Green Bay, going to the Super Bowl with the team they have, and they have no money because he just took all the money and put it in his greedy little piggy bank.
Well, they should be a division winner, Minnesota, Chicago, and Detroit in their division. After that, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, they're going to get the playoffs, but, they're not going to be elite with that team they got out there. I just think that the Rams are looking great right now, and Arizona's coming up. They had a meltdown. Hopefully, they could pull their stuff together, and of course, they'll win the Central. They'll win the Central, but that's as far as they're going.
And today, Carson Wentz got traded from Indianapolis to Washington for 2 third-round picks.
They're calling that guy the hockey puck. He gets bounced around all over the place. He started in the East, and now he's going back to the East. He's going back to the Washington Commanders or Commodores or whatever their name is out there in Washington. But he's going to be playing for the Washington Commanders next year. They got him dirt cheap. They traded second-round picks this year, so that means Indianapolis will move up in the draft, but Washington still gets a second-round pick. They get a 3rd-round pick next year unless Carson Wentz starts 70% of his games, which we're always liking that he has his mask on all the time, so he won't be sick. But I think that they'll probably have to give him around a 3rd-round pick, and then they traded picks in the 2023 3rd-round pick also. So, they got him dirt cheap, and they needed a quarterback, something fierce out there in Washington. So I think that was a good move on their part.
I guess. I don't expect Washington to be very good this year with Wentz. I don't think that's a huge upgrade over Taylor Heineke, but we'll see as the season goes on.
Taylor Heineke would probably be starting again there. I bet he's going to be starting again there at the end of the year, just like he got beat out last year. But somehow he just finds his way to the front, doesn't he?
Yeah, I expect it too. As far as staying with his current team, Rodgers' best weapon and 7 other NFL players got hit with the franchise tag. Who is staying put and possibly negotiating a long-term deal?
Okay, we'll start with, like you said, Green Bay. That was the most precious free agent that was out there. Devontae Adams got tagged. Tampa Bay tagged Chris Goodwin. And
Godwin.
then your Dallas Cowboys, Dalton Schultz got the tag. I think that was a great move by Dallas. They also restructured Dak and Zach Martin. Dak Prescott and Zach Martin, they both they restructured their contracts. So that opens up $22 million for free agency, as there's a lot of linebackers opening up right now. Dallas can meet that need. That was good that they did that. Miami did their tight end, Mike Grzinski, and the Jags surprisingly put the franchise tag on Cam Robinson, the offensive tackle. So that at that point, Aiden Richardson went from the second favorite to now he is minus 145 to be the first pick for the Jackson Jaguars.
All right. And
also, Mike Williams signed instead of going to free agency, he signed a 3-year, $60 million contract. And Harold Landry from the Tennessee Titans, he signed a contract, a 4-year contract to stay in Tennessee.
And Cincinnati safety Jesse Bates got the franchise tag, which is good. The only one that didn't quite make sense to me was David Njoku for Cleveland. Hasn't really done that well since 2018. Had a really good year, but he got franchise tagged by Cleveland.
That franchise coming off an injury, I was surprised with that too. But I mean, Cleveland always makes great picks, right? And that's
of course.
So they always make great decisions in their front office. That's why they haven't been in the playoffs and. Since Ronald Reagan was in office.
Yeah, probably not. And Orlando Brown of Kansas City got tagged.
Right, and that was a good move by them. They're going to restructure his contract. They're going to keep him there. That was just to buy time to get a good contract, I think.
Yes.
So, you looked at last week we also had the combine. The guys, the winners in the combine, I thought were definitely Desmond Ritter. He was in the top 3 on most of the drills that he did as quarterback. He had a great, probably might push him up to a late number 1 or early number 2 pick. Aiden Hutchinson had a great combine. And Jordan Davis, he ran like a 4.7 40 at 340 pounds and did great on his agility drills. And Ahmad Sauce Gardner from Cincinnati probably might be the best pick out there at corner. He just shined. But as you know, the combine's set for the fast guys. The receivers and the cornerbacks always come out looking great after that. You really can't see rushing the quarterback during the combine.
Right. Well, one final subject, and it's a serious one. Atlanta wide receiver Calvin Ridley was in the news. Why?
Well, in November, he was gambling on sports. They didn't say if it's his team or not. He wasn't even he was on the inactive roster at that time anyway for mental illness, and he just proved that he does have mental illness because you're not supposed to bet if you're an NFL player. And they have that in all the contracts, every room, every paper you sign, don't bet, keep the purity of the game. So he's looking at a 1-year suspension. I mean, a lot of people thought that he might be an asset as the wide receivers now with this franchise tags have dwindled down to good receivers that are out there. So he lost out a lot of money. Hopefully he won a lot on those bets, on those parlays, because he definitely is going to lose some next year.
Yes. He bet $1,500 on 3-team parlays, 5-teamers, and 8-teamers over his phone. So, yeah, I hope he did win too. But what do you think of the punishment, the 1 year?
I think it fits. I mean, that we can send him to Bosnia. I mean, over to Ukraine or something. I don't know what we can do to punish him for being stupid, but that definitely wasn't a smart move on his part.
Well, players, and in fact, all NFL personnel are allowed to bet on fantasy football with an earning limit of $250 on any fantasy football game. Is that not hypocritical?
Well, if they're not playing in the game, I don't see why you can't play fantasy football. I think everybody in America loves playing fantasy football. I mean, of course, this show, we support the Fantasy Football League and the fantasy football, things that are going on, and we bring information about that all the time. I think that's kind of what's driving for better, public looking at the fantasy, because, who watches the Detroit Lions unless you have, maybe Reynolds or wide receiver or the new running back? I mean, if you have somebody on the team, you're gonna watch in on that game, and you're definitely not going to watch the Lions to see how great their season's going. So I think it's a good way to keep people to watch. Probably hypocritical. You're probably right. If you can't do it, you can't do it. They can play fantasy football after they retire.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Gambling is gambling, in my opinion. And I should also ask, what punishment should Alvin Kamara get? If you want to remind everybody exactly
I think they're
what
lower
happened
the
there.
on him. That was a criminal charge that he had gone on. It was a brutal beatdown. I've worked 28 years in prison, and that's pretty much what happens every day in there. He might be looking at some jail time, Joe. So, I mean, I don't know that, when the NFL gets a hold of him, I think the district attorney's going to get a hold of him first. So things don't look good for Alvin Kamara in the NFL at this current moment.
Yeah, he broke a guy's eye socket. So I think he deserves at least a year over the guy who was betting on games. But we'll
He
see how
could do
that
a
turns out.
year suspension or maybe 6 years defending the Ukrainians. Maybe we could do that for him.
That would be a good punishment. Well, excellent job, Big Rich. Thank you.
Okay, so hey, just to let you know, we're only, we're 4 days and 2 hours and 3 minutes away from Sunday selection series. So let's get ready for this Sunday bracket coming out. Get your brackets ready. Hopefully we can get something going with our producer and get a covering the field bracket going and get some kind of prize for a winner. If you could beat Joe the Man, you should be able to get something if your bracket's better than his.
I think you'll be able to beat my bracket this year. I got a feeling.
Well, if you got Nevada anywhere on your bracket, that they might beat you.
They're not going to make it.
All right, Joe. Great show, buddy.
Next up, we're going to talk about some women's hoops, baseball, and horse racing with our analyst, Rockin' Ronnie McKinnon. How's it going today, Ronnie?
Joe, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, too. March Madness continues for the men and women. What's been going on lately in ladies college basketball?
Well, Joe, it's been fun to watch and get into a little bit more. We've got a couple of really good games from last Friday. Miami, Florida ended up beating number 4 Louisville by 2 points. Then Kentucky beat number 6 LSU, actually by 15 points. Then we also had the Cornhuskers from Nebraska beat number 10 Michigan by 3 points. And then on Sunday, Kentucky ended up beating number 1 South Carolina by 2 points, 64-62. So Kentucky actually won the SEC crown for the first time since 1982 when they upset South Carolina on Sunday. So right now we're looking at the top 10. South Carolina still stayed number 1, and then Stanford, even though Stanford is now number 1 in the power rankings. Then we have NC State, Baylor, Louisville, Connecticut, Texas, Iowa, which is a story there, LSU and Iowa State. Iowa now has moved into the top 10, and one of the girls there, Caitlin Clark, she's a guard sophomore. She leads the Division I in points and assists. She's fun to watch, and Iowa moving up there. Also, I wanted to mention Aaliyah Boston, a forward and a junior at South Carolina. That girl, she can score, rebound, assist, great field goal percentage. Just a couple of the girls that are fun to watch. Also, Michigan, I will say that they did drop from the top 10 down to number 12.
All right, we will check out some of that. Women's college basketball. I don't know if you're going to have any predictions on the website, but we will check that out. WNBA superstar Brittany Greiner is in the news, but not for a good reason. Tell us what's happening.
Yeah, Joe. WNBA Phoenix Mercury star Brittany Greiner was arrested in Russia on drug charges. Cannabis oil was found in her luggage, and a vape cartridge was hash oil. So she's in a little trouble there, but and it's really sad that and sucks that it has to be in Russia, of all places.
Especially,
She
especially
plays
now,
for
right? Yeah.
she plays in the Russian Premier League every year. So
Yeah. Her maximum penalty is 10 years in prison. So,
yeah,
and the Russians could be a little harsh on us with the situation going on, obviously.
yeah, exactly. With them, Russia and Ukraine, definitely.
Well, she's 31. She's a 7-time All-Star.
That's right. She's a 7-time WNBA All-Star and a 2-time Olympic gold medal winner, and she is 31 years old. That's right.
Yeah.
She's number 31, actually.
Oh, she's won a WNBA championship. She's won a college national championship. At 6'9", 205 pounds, and wearing a men's size 17 shoe, she could slam dunk as a sophomore in high school. More than a dozen WNBA players also play in the UK, Ukraine, and Russia. She spent her last 7 winters in there, making over $1 million a year, which is more than 4 times her WNBA salary. So that explains why she plays over there.
Sure, totally, yeah.
Ronnie, you're the biggest baseball fan I know. Has there been any progress in the never-ending saga of Major League Baseball's lockout?
Well, Joe, yes, they met again Sunday. Nothing much happened, but then they met yesterday, which went into this morning. They're supposed to be meeting today. As time as coming, getting ready for the show, they hadn't met yet. They did 17 hours till like 3 o'clock in the morning, and they created some movement and some momentum. MLB's offer came about 12 hours into the negotiating session, and then the Players Association requested time to speak with its board before officially responding sometime today. There are a bunch of details the MLB has made, really tried hard and made a lot of effort to go towards the players. And the players need to remember, this is a compromise. You need to compromise. I think I can detail everything that happened. The competitive balance tax is a big deal. They also raised its overall offer on the minimum salary. I won't go into all the numbers and details. They've done something about rookies of the year and getting more money, and also large market teams now can't pick in lottery in consecutive years, which I think is a good idea. Smaller market teams can't do so in 3 consecutive years. MLB announced before that each team's first 2 series of the regular season would not be played at all. Now, of course, they're probably canceling another week's worth, but at this point, those would still be played. We'll have to see what happens. Yeah, it's, again, I look at both sides, and the players that are ready, and I mentioned that back on the 9th on the show, they rejected arbitration by the, MLB, and that's when a federal mediator comes in, and they have actually used it before. It's been used in all other sports. They usually can help solve the problem. The players rejected that, and that's, a month ago. Again, trying to look at both sides, I think the players need to, again, understand that this is about compromising, and let's get to it.
Well, it's already the second longest labor stoppage in Major League Baseball history. As we all remember, 1995 games were also canceled. Hopefully it doesn't get anywhere near to that level.
Yeah, hopefully not, because I love it, always have, played it and loved it my whole life, and it's I'm ready to get back to it. They can lose some more fans through this, and that's the that's a thing they should all be have been thinking about all this time, actually. So,
On a weirder note, March 4th was an anniversary for former New York Yankee pitchers Fritz Peterson and Mike Kekich, who in 1973 swapped their wives and children. Is that the strangest baseball story you've ever heard?
that is, you were bringing that up to me earlier. I remember the one name Kekich from back then because I've been around a while. So but I didn't remember the exact story until you laid it on me earlier before the show.
Yeah, that's the weirdest one I've ever heard anyway. But you've watched a lot of baseball. You might have seen something.
There's a lot of strange ones, and actually, I'm going to start writing some more articles. It's been a while since I have, and there's some really neat things that a lot of people aren't aware of that hopefully I'll get some articles back on there here in the next week or two.
All right. We're looking forward to that. Ronnie, you made some picks on some horse races at Santa Anita last weekend. How did those turn out?
Well, Joe, it was great again to read the racing form and study stuff and make some bets on some horses, and especially at Santa Anita, the great race place down in Arcadia, California. Anyway, Saturday again was a big cap day at Santa Anita, and I put some bets in on the 9th, 10th, and 11th races, the last 3 of the day, which were grade 1 races. And I did well. The first race, the 3 horses I picked, I got first and second, but not the third horse, but I got the exacta, not the trifecta. In the 10th race, I also did the same. I had the first 2, came in first and second. My third place horse did not. I did get another exacta, but not the trifecta. And then in race 11, the Santa Anita Handicap, the big one, I actually hit both, the exacta and the trifecta, got all 3 of the horses in first, second, and third in that order. And so it was great. I did well, not a lot of money, but I won money. And I also had a great time, and they were great races to watch and to bet on.
Well, hopefully everybody who looked on the website bet what you bet.
Exactly.
It
Yeah.
did really well.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You won some money, so.
Will you have more predictions in upcoming races?
I am going to have some more. I can't tell you right now which ones yet, but I am also going to be doing that. And it might be at other tracks, but I'm a Santa Anita lover, and they race into April. And then of course we'll have the Triple Crown, the Kentucky Derby in May. So I will be putting some more picks on.
Okay, we'll be looking forward to that. On a side note, March 8th was an anniversary when in 1958, Silky Sullivan with Bill Shoemaker on board won the Santa Anita Derby by 3 lengths. What's significant about that? At one time in the race, Silky Sullivan trailed by 40 lengths, 20 entering the final turn. Have you ever seen anything like that?
Joe, you mentioned that to me before the show, and I hadn't thought about that in a long time. I vaguely remember something about a 40 length race. Again, I was going there really young with my dad, rest in peace, to Santa Anita. And you see, unfortunately I also saw some horses put down on the track, breaking their leg while they were running. So a lot of stuff that's a big 40 lengths. Wow. Crazy.
Yes. Historical, I would say. I would guess that's never been done before.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't think so.
Well, great job, Ronnie. Thanks.
Joe, thanks for having me.
Our next guest today is our NBA handicapper, Marc the Shark Sabella. How are you feeling today, Marc?
I'm doing great, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. We're going to get right to our take or fake segment.
Take
or fake?
What do you have for us this week?
Joe, number one, take or fake. Phil Jackson is back. He is the Lakers' head coach or general manager, or he is at least consulting with Jeannie Buss, the owner, and is wanting to be back in the fold. Take or fake, Phil Jackson will be back as head coach or general manager for the Lakers this year.
I'm going to say no on the head coach, unfortunately, although he's the best coach I've ever seen. He did win 11 championships. You know how many championships Michael Jordan had before Phil Jackson came around? That'd be 0. The guy can flat out coach. His problem is traveling. He has a bad hip, I remember. He could only coach at home, is the way I understand it, unless he's had a really nice operation lately. So I'm going to say fake on the coach. General manager, I can do a take on that. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, very interesting take on that one, Joe. Phil Jackson is definitely back at consulting, with the Westbrook debacle, the zero that we know. Zero our hero.
Russell Westbrook.
Yes. Boy, does he hate that moniker.
I love it.
But I'm going to say fake on both for now, sadly. But I do think that he is going to have a greater presence around the team and might be consulting with possible trades and player moves at the end of the season. Now, that leads us to number 2, take or fake, Joe. LeBron has been quoted as saying he doesn't like anything about Phil Jackson. However, and he's also been posturing to possibly go play in Cleveland again and play with his son Ronnie and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Since the break, that's all we've been hearing is the rhetoric. Take or fake, if Phil Jackson does come back in some sort of coaching capacity, LeBron James is out of LA and he's gone.
Well, I'll do a take on that one. I guess that's sad to say that, but Phil Jackson's such a smart guy. I think he would have a way of talking to LeBron and calming things down. What has LeBron so upset was when Phil Jackson called LeBron's entourage a posse like 5 or 6 years ago. And LeBron took that very personally. But I think if they both sat down and talked things over, they could get along. But for now, I'm going to say it's a take. LeBron does leave.
I'm actually going to, because I actually know the whole story and what he has said since then, I'm going to say fake on that one, actually. So just what you just said, Joe, I think that he actually will probably let the posse comments and the little rip between he and Phil Jackson back then kind of dissipate a little bit more. I think LeBron in his twilight years realizes, he's only got a few more shots at a championship. He's 37. He's already getting much more injured this year, staying out much more. He and Anthony Davis already realized that this is a lost season. If the Lakers actually make the playoffs, it would still be amazing. They're in the number 9 spot right now. But I actually just heard a tweet or heard a kind of article from LeBron where he said he's going to dispel all the rumors. He wants to finish his career in Los Angeles. It's a dream to play with his son Ronnie, and he even said himself, Joe, I'm not even sure I want to go back to Cleveland. I'm not even sure why that's such a big rumor right now. I don't want to go back there. I want to finish out my career in Los Angeles. So I think he gets it. I think he's going to move on.
No guarantee his son ends up in Cleveland. He might have to go somewhere entirely different.
Exactly, Joe. Exactly.
He should stay in LA.
Number 3, Joe. we're going to have a little MVP talk. Take or fake, Ja Morant is now your number one favorite to win the MVP voting in the association.
Well, everything I hear and see on TV has Joel Embiid as the favorite. I will assume that's correct. So I will say that's a fake on that.
You are correct, sir. It is a fake. Joel Embiid, in the latest odds to win the MVP for the association, is at minus 140. I guess that'll lead me to my fourth and final one, which is, okay, then Ja Morant is number 2 to be in the MVP voting.
Well, I can't say I've really been paying that close of attention. I'll say a take just for the heck of it, because I really like Morant. He's a pretty amazing player.
I would have taken a take on that also, except I also cheated on that one too, Joe, and know kind of the odds on everybody.
Oh.
So, but it's a fake.
Oh.
The Joker, Jokic, is second at plus 170. Giannis, last year's MVP, at plus 9-1. He's third.
Yeah.
Here's kind of a surprise. DeMar DeRozan is fourth at 16-1. And then our good friend Ja Morant, who I just think is playing out of his mind this year, has Memphis playing out of their minds this year and are the surprise in the Southeast division right now at 18-1 and fifth. And the aforementioned LeBron James is 10th at 49-1 right now.
Wow. So, yeah, I was a little off on that, but Embiid is the man.
Embiid is the man.
For now.
Take or fake.
Moving on to the next segment, your picks went a terrific 5-2 last week. What are your predictions for this week's action?
Joe, I have 6 games for you this week. And this one's going to be good, Joe. Thursday, March the 10th, Brooklyn at Philly. I'm going to call this the big trade before the deadline game. This is going to be interesting because these are the two teams that traded Simmons and Harden and others, of course. Brooklyn has really been struggling. They are 33 and 33. They are a 500 team, Joe, since the beginning of the year when we actually had them in the top 4 teams of the association. They are 3-9 in their last 12 road games, straight up. And KD is back, but not Simmons. Simmons is still not practicing. Apparently, he has a bad back. Philly, I think, got the better of this deal. Harden has been playing out of his mind. He and Embiid are just teaming up to be a great 1-2 punch for Philly right now. And Philly is 40-24. They are 5-2 in their last 7 home games. And they have split the 2 games in Brooklyn, but lost their only game at home to Brooklyn, Philly, that is. I'm predicting, Joe, that Philly is going to be giving 3 or so on that. KD is back. If KD wasn't back, it would be more. I'm going to take Philly in that one. And this is going to be a great must-watch game for the bettors and all the viewers of the association. We're going to skip Friday, nothing interesting there. And we're going to go to, I'm going to go back to one other game on Thursday. Golden State Warriors are 43-22, 2-8 in the last 10 straight up. I mean, that's kind of a surprising statistic. They actually have lost 7 in a row on the road. They go into Denver, and Denver has actually beaten Golden State at home and away in the Bay Area in the last 2 weeks. including a really miserable game by Golden State where they were leading by 17 at one point in the third and then lost the game. Denver has been playing really hot lately. They're 9-1 in their last 10 overall, 20-11 at home, and 39-26 overall. Again, that's probably what's leading to Jokic being the number 2 MVP candidate and with odds right now. I'm going to go ahead and say Denver is going to be favored by about a touchdown. And I'm going to take Denver on the money line. I think Golden State is going to continue to struggle for a little while. And it's going to take them a little while to get out of their funk. Now we'll skip Friday and go to Saturday's game, March the 12th. Milwaukee is 40-25. They have beaten Phoenix, Miami, Charlotte, and Chicago in 4 of their last 5 wins. So they're beating the creme de la creme of the association. They beat Golden State in the Bay Area by 19 as a road dog, Joe. And so they go into Golden State on that Saturday. And Golden State, as we just mentioned, 1-3 in their last 4 home games. They are 43-22, not as bad as Brooklyn's slide, but they're still missing Peyton, Porter, William Wiseman, Draymond, and Iggy. All of them are still out, and this team does not have the same chemistry without those 5 players. So this is going to be a sorry producer bet. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I think Milwaukee will actually be a road fave on this one at 3.5. I'm going to take Milwaukee to cover the spread on that one. I think they continue to play hot. Sunday, March the 13th, Dallas 40-25, 17-14 on the road, 7-2-1 in their last 10 against the spread. They go into Boston, and Boston's been playing hot. They are 38-27, so they're only a game and a half behind Dallas in the one-loss record. Jason Tatum scored 54 against Brooklyn in his last game. Boston has beaten Brooklyn and Memphis and Atlanta in their last 3 home games. Dallas won in Boston, but lost Dallas won in Boston, but lost the spread by the hook. So I think Boston, the way they're playing, Dallas is equally hot. Boston being the home team, usually the home team gives 3. I think they're going to give 2.5. I'm actually going to take Boston on that one. It pains me as a Laker fan to do that, but I think that's the right bet there, Joe. Monday, March the 14th, Milwaukee is again on the road, 17-13 on the road, 6-4 against the spread in the last 10. If all goes right, they will have won 2 days before that, and in Golden State, they go then into Utah. And Utah has been playing very well at home, not so great on the road. They are at home 40-24, 4-6, however, against the spread in their last 10 home games, 22-10 home straight up. I'm guessing Milwaukee again will be road favorites at 2.5, and I'm going to keep riding that Milwaukee wave right now. I'm going to give the 2.5 and take Milwaukee, Joe. My last game of the week, Tuesday, March the 15th. I have to talk about Memphis at some point or get them in there, or Big Rich is going to be extremely mad at me. Memphis is 45-22, 44-23 against the spread overall in all games. They're doing very well this year. However, they're 1-3 in their last 4 road games straight up. They have an exact opposite record with the home team this game, Indiana. So Memphis is 45-22, Indiana is 22-45. 29, 35-3 against the spread. However, they're actually 2-2 in their last 4 home games. I don't see this as much of a contest. I'm guessing Memphis will give 10. I don't like to give that many points, so I'm going to take Memphis straight up, Joe. Money line.
Good work, Mark, and good luck with those picks. Hopefully you keep up that hot streak you got going, and thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
The final guest today, here to talk about a number of different sports, is Gator Gates. How are things going today, Gator?
Oh, I'm excellent, Joe. Thanks for asking.
Gator, you're a huge hockey fan. Who's been hot lately in the National Hockey League?
Well, Joe, I would have to say the hottest team still is Calgary. They're 4-2 in their last 6 games, but they're took the lead in the Pacific at 75 points. They're ahead of the Kings and Vegas. So besides Calgary, the team that's really killing me, though, in my percentage, Joe, is Montreal. They are 7-1 in their last 8 games. I also think that Boston, they're 7-2, and Tampa Bay, they're also 7-2.
Who have been the teams lately to bet against?
Well, surprisingly, Joe, I got a couple of teams that are really shocking to me that are on this list. St. Louis, they are 0-4 in their last 4 games. They're right behind the Avalanche in the standings with 71 points. The other shocking team to me is Minnesota. They're 2-6. Again, Joe, they're that roller coaster team where I try to stay on their bandwagon, and every year about this time is when they start going downhill again. So hopefully they can get it figured out and get in that playoffs, and hopefully they figure it out in time. But the worst team out of all of them right now is Seattle. They are 1-10 in their last 11 games.
Yes, the expansion team. Certainly not a surprise. Not like Vegas the last time we had an expansion team.
Yeah, they scared me last night, Joe. Seattle was beating Toronto last night until the very end, and that would have put me at 5-5. So I'm glad that Toronto did win.
That's right. Your picks went 6-4 last week. And over the last 14 weeks, you're 81-27, which is an amazing 75%. What are your predictions for the upcoming week?
Okay, Joe. Well, I do feel a lot better about this one than I have in the last 2 weeks, so hopefully I get that back up there. I got Boston on Thursday. I have 3 games. I have Boston over Chicago, Toronto over Arizona, and Florida over Philly. Saturday, I have 3 games as well. That is Boston over Arizona, Carolina over Philly, and Calgary over Detroit. Sunday, I have 2 games, Toronto over Buffalo, and St. Louis over Winnipeg. And Tuesday, I have 2 games as well. That's Montreal over Arizona and Washington over the New York Islanders.
Well, hopefully those picks do well, like your picks have been doing for the last few weeks.
Thank you, Joe.
By the way, March 5th was the anniversary. I've been doing a few anniversaries of a 2004 game between Ottawa and Philadelphia that totaled a record 419 penalty minutes, 213 by Philly, with 20 total ejections. Wouldn't you have liked to have seen that game?
Oh, heck yeah, Joe. That sounds like when I was growing up the 70s and 80s, you had those type of games. And to hear this in 2004, yeah, I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, if they ever take fighting out of hockey, that'll be a huge disappointment, and they'll lose a lot of fans.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are reasons that they do fight, Joe. It's just not that they get mad at each other. There's other reasons as well.
Yeah, we'll have to get into that one of these days.
Sounds good to me, Joe.
Shifting over to NASCAR, how did last week's race in Las Vegas end up?
Oh, NASCAR. It's so fun to watch NASCAR, I swear. Teammates Kyle Busch and Martin Truex, they were in a chess match until Eric Jones overcorrected his car and brought out the caution with 3 laps left. Now, the Toyotas went into the pits and put on 4 tires, but the Chevys, Alex Bowman and Kyle Larson, they both put on just 2 tires. And that was good enough to send Alex Bowman and, again, Hendricks Motorsports to victory lane. That race gives us, Joe, 5 drivers: Kyle Larson, Austin Cindric, Martin Truex, Joey Logano, and Kyle Busch. they are all over 100 points in the standings. So that's good for the fans. Now, Chevy did get 4 cars in the top 5. Toyota got 4th, and Ford, Eric Almirola, he got 6th. Now, Sunday, we're going to be in Phoenix, and that starts at 12 o'clock Pacific time. And I think it'll come down to the Fords and Toyotas. So I'm going to take my driver, Truex. He's at 6-1. Hamlin is at 6.5-1. But if you like the Fords, Joey Logano's at 8-1. And if you think that the Chevys are going to win, you still got Kyle Larson. He's the favorite at 4.5.
Yeah, Kyle Larson is the favorite. And it's hard to bet against him because he's always right there at the front.
Yeah, and again, I would have to say so.
Yeah, Alex Bowman actually was 20-1 last week, so you can find some decent little upsets in these NASCAR races. So, Gator, the 4th week of the Six Nations rugby competition is this Friday and Saturday. What are your predictions?
Well, in rugby, the Friday we're going to have France and Wales. That's going to be in Wales, right, Joe?
It is in Wales.
Okay, and we got France at a -11. I'm going to take France, Joe. I know Wales is playing a lot better, but I still think France is going to cover that 11. Italy is going to be hosting Scotland, and Scotland's a -19.5. I'm going to take Scotland with the points, and that's Saturday. We also have another Saturday game where England is playing Ireland, and this is probably the match to watch. I'm going to take the home dog, Joe. England is at a +105. So I'd take the money line on that one, Joe.
We're pretty much in agreement, I'm glad to say. I can't bet against France, and that 11-point spread at Wales seems kind of high, so I'll stay away from that game. But I like Scotland minus the 19.5 at Italy. Italy's lost their 3 games so far by 27, 33, and 51 points. This spread's only 19.5. And I'll also try England plus the 1.5 at home against Ireland. You might as well do the money line, as all of the games have been decided by 3 or more points. So the 1.5 shouldn't make a difference.
No, and yeah, boost up your ticket too.
Right, a plus 105 for just 1 point, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And although they can end in ties, these games, but I haven't seen one in a long time. So.
That's correct. I do forget about that too, Joe. But yes, they can end in ties. Just you don't see it.
No. And our final subject today is tennis's Davis Cup, which was played last Friday and Saturday in Reno. We appreciate everyone who listened to our Davis Cup sports short last week. Gator, what happened in the matches?
Okay, well, pretty much went the way we thought, Joe. The only set that out of the 9 sets, the only set that USA lost was Sebastian Korda. He lost 1-6 against Nicholas Mija in the second set. But other than that, Joe, I mean, we dominated.
Yeah. Last year, the U.S. lost to Colombia in the knockout stage in Italy. This one's a 4-0 clean sweep for the Americans. Like you said, losing only that 1 set. So now we're in the 16 nation finals.
Yeah.
So that's big for us. Unfortunately, the last time we won the championship was in 2007. So I wouldn't expect us to win it all.
Hard to say. And we got to wait a long time, Joe. We got to wait until almost the end of November.
Is that when it is? Oh, my gosh. Okay. Well,
yeah.
Well, we'll have predictions then if it's even bettable. We'll see.
Yeah, true enough, Joe.
Terrific job, Gator.
Oh, well, thank you, Joe. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being on the show. Sponsored by MXE Media. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time for the moments we've all been waiting for. The stories that make us furious about bets that appeared surely to be winners, but in the end, something went horribly wrong, and they ended up being losers. It's a segment we affectionately call You Got Hosed.
You got hosed.
So, Big Rich, do you have a You Got Hosed story this week?
Yes, I definitely do, Joe. Bellarmine definitely got hosed in the Atlantic Sun Conference. They won their tournament. They just came in this year, but because they were a Division II team last year, they were not eligible for the NCAA tournament until 2025. They won the tournament, and they don't get to go to the big dance. So the loser, Jacksonville State, gets to go to the big dance, and Bellarmine gets hosed.
Yeah, that's a crazy rule. Why do you have to wait 5 years to get into the NC2A tournament? I don't understand it.
But they got hosed.
They got hosed. So, Gator, do you have a You Got Hosed story this week?
Well, yeah, Joe, on Saturday in Liga Mix, the Mexican Soccer League, the league champions Atlas from Guadalajara played Querétaro, and in the 63rd minute, the match was suspended due to multiple fights in the stands. Now, security opened the gates to the field so that the fans could escape the chaos. There were no deaths, but there was 26 people who required medical attention. Now, FIFA and CONCACAF condemned the brutal assaults and bloodshed, and that led to Sunday's matches the next days being canceled as well. Now, the fate of Querétaro is undecided as of Tuesday, but there is a chance that they will be disaffiliated with La Liga MX. Now, Atlas officially won 3-0, but if you are a fan of Querétaro or La Liga MX, period, you got hosed this weekend.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what the punishment's going to be for them.
Yeah, me too, Joe. You got a host story?
Well, I didn't get hosed on any of my bets this week, but if there was someone who got hosed, it had to be NASCAR's Kyle Busch. Racing in his hometown of Las Vegas, Busch got a flat tire in practice and wrecked. His backup car was a quote-unquote parts car, not meant for competition. After a lot of work from the Joe Gibbs Racing team on the car, Busch started 37th and last. Somehow, Busch gets to the lead with 3 laps to go, but Eric Jones crashes, bringing out a caution. Busch's crew chief elects to get 4 tires, while race winner Alex Bowman gets track position by getting only 2 tires. After all that effort all weekend to take the lead and then finish 4th, Kyle Busch got hosed.
Oh, yeah. They got hosed. But, Joe, real quick, I just want to say those 4 tires and those 2 tires, they were not fresh tires. They were all out of tires. So those were already used tires as well. But, yeah, anybody who put on Kyle Busch got hosed.
You got hosed.
So that's all for this week's show. I'd like to thank my guests, Big Richard Martin, Rockin' Ronnie McKinnon, Marc the Shark Sabella, and Gator Gates, our producer, our engineer, our editor, our junior IT tech, Caden Martin, and everyone for listening. We'd like you to visit our Covering the Field website to check out our many articles and our picks of the day and week. We'd like to remind you listeners to email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com. Give us your feedback, your You Got Hosed moments, and any other comments you'd like to give us. And find us on Twitter at Covering Field. Hopefully you all enjoyed the show, and you'll hear us again next week on another episode of Covering the Field.
You've been listening to Covering the Field, a CM World Services and the Sage production.